What up,
YouTube.
y'all? How we
Howdy.
doing?
Good. How are you?
I sound alright? I'm alright,
Yes, you do.
bro.
I can hear
Just a
you.
little
I can hear
tired,
you.
man.
I hear you. I
I had
hear
to go
you.
to the dentist the last 2 days, man. Alright, good. Yeah, I had to go to the dentist the last 2 days, man, so I'm kind of tired, bro.
You were strapped in that chair,
But got my
getting
teeth
drilled.
looking a lot better.
Yeah. What do they do?
Yeah, man, they had me going crazy, like, like I was in a freaking little shop of horrors.
Should have watched the
I can't
dentist
wait, though.
before
I
you.
want to do that. Dude, I did a double feature and the Vestron came out. I fucking love those
Oh, okay.
movies. I plan
I still haven't
we'll
watched
be
them.
reviewing those. We'll be
Those scare
reviewing
me
those at some point.
because I hate getting drilled.
Oh,
I
dude,
never
those
even
are
watch them.
so funny. Those
So
are
episodes
hilarious, man.
17,
They're like,
18, 19, and 20. We're halfway through the first season. Can you believe it?
man,
Got another half a
halfway
season to
through, huh?
go. Halfway through.
Wow, I did
They used to
not
have a
even
lot. They
know
used to
that.
have long seasons back then. They used to do almost 40 shows a season, not
Season
like
one of
today.
Twilight Zone is we're halfway through. Wow, nice.
Today they
Yeah,
could
I didn't
barely
even
get
know. I didn't
13.
even look.
You can't get 12 issues to episodes out today, but not back in the day. They were 40 episodes a season. So,
Yeah, right.
although some of these episodes you
Yeah,
kind of
that's.
believe they were scrambling to get some of the scripts, approved.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Because I think,
honestly, man, the first like 2 weeks were the best, man. Even this week's were a little bit, this week's were better than the last 2 weeks,
well,
but
I think
I
when you
still,
watch
man,
them,
it wasn't.
when you watch them, when you watch the entire season, you can see like a lot of repetitive themes. They have a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
spaceship episodes, and then they have a lot of the
Mm,
death episodes, and then I think they get a little bit more
yeah.
wide spurse. A lot of airplane episodes. So we've seen some of these themes we've seen already this young season several times, and we're seeing kind of like variations on those themes. Although the first episode we're reviewing, Fever, is probably the most unique of the episodes we're watching this week,
I did really enjoy that
and,
one.
and
I
probably
really enjoyed that one.
my favorite of the ones we watched because
I would I would
we
jump ahead and say that's my favorite of this week too.
because we're getting the gambling addiction episode with the
Which that always that is still going on today. That's not something that just was going on in the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
right,
That's still something.
and
I did enjoy that.
we get the machine that's comes to life and following him along. So we get this written by Rod Serling, directed by Robert Florey, and starring Everett Sloan as Franklin Gibbs. Now, when we first meet this guy's all like they won a trip to Las Vegas, him and his wife, and he's very anti fun, really, anti gambling, anti everything. He gives his wife a hard time and didn't want to go, but by the end, you see the gold fever kind of pop up in him. He gets that, like we all do. We get the taste. You get that win. You get the initial win, and then you're chasing it, and then by the time you know it, you're losing all your money to it. But very effective, especially the scenes where the slot machine is coming after him in his dreams, and that crazy electronic voice they're using when he goes, Franklin, Franklin, is wandering the halls looking for him. I like this one. This one's kind of unique. He started off as like he didn't want to do any of this, and then all of a sudden he's like fighting people for the machine, and he's seeing it in his dreams, and it's coming to his room, and then
Yeah,
ultimately it drives him totally berserk and over the edge, and he jumps to his death there as the machine is like coming after him, and very effective
yeah.
use of the
He
machine.
he was like me in the beginning, man. Like telling his wife, like, you're just
Mm.
throwing money away. Like I can't gamble because I literally think like it's literally like throwing money away. I
Oh yeah,
never understood get like people when I worked at the gas station, the scratch
scratch
offs
tickets. Yeah.
and the pick fives and the pick threes. I I'm telling you, bro, that was my biggest grief working there because you would have these old people that had they would literally get paid. They would get their social security checks, and they would
Hmm.
come in like every say it was almost like every Wednesday, I believe. They would get their social security checks. They
Yeah.
would come in and blow the entire thing, and then they would be like trying to get me to give them like free drinks and free food, and I'm like, absolutely not. You just spent like
Yeah.
hundreds of dollars on scratch off tickets instead of buying yourself food. It that dude, we it like gambling is a serious addiction
Oh
too. A
yeah.
lot of people don't think about that, man. Like
It's worse
gambling
than in some
literally
ways.
is
It's
an
even worse
addiction.
than drugs. Because it hooks you a little bit
Like when I
easier.
worked at the gas station, people would buy me scratch offs here and there, and I kind of caught that fever a little bit because if I would win, and I'd be like, one time I won like $100 off a $3 ticket. I was like, oh, but see, if I won $100, I put that shit like that was my $100. I'm not gonna go gamble it away.
Hmm.
But say like if I won $20, I would take that 20 and I would keep
Invest.
trying and buy
Yeah.
more scratch offs. Cause I'd be like, oh, I kind of got that fever, and I was like, "Ooh, it feels kind of good to win." And you start chasing that
Yeah.
rush, man.
Now,
You start chasing that win.
where you are, do they have legalized gambling? Do they have casinos?
Now they have it. Now, dude, it's crazy right now. Like
Yeah,
now
because
it's
we
now
have
they
a
just made it
casino
legal
here.
like
Yeah.
like a month ago.
Yeah.
Well,
Now,
they've always had casinos out here. Well, they just made a casino a few years back, but now it's like legal to bet on sports.
yeah, they're doing
Like
that
not
here.
it's not just a
They're just
fantasy
starting that
anymore.
where you can do it right on your phone. Download an app and you can do it all from
Yeah,
your phone now.
dude. There's
That's going to be the worst
FanDuel,
thing.
dude. There's like
Yeah.
20 different apps now. There's FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM. They got
And
like
I was
Hard
amazed too.
Rock. They
I
got
was amazed
literally
that you could bet on almost everything. I didn't know you could bet on like hot dog contests and the Academy Awards. You can even bet on. So
oh,
they
I
take
didn't
bets
know
on almost
that.
anything. Yeah,
I
they
know.
bet
I
on
mean, I know
everything.
there's like golf, hockey,
Yeah.
all that. I always wanted to
So
bet on some horses, horse racing contests. I always
mm,
thought that'd be fun.
yeah, we have a casino here. I've been, I go in, I spend what I spend, and I leave. I've only been once or twice. It doesn't really hold much allure for me. I mean, it's an okay place to go once, but I wouldn't
Yeah,
want to be living my life in one of those places. But there's people that do that, and this,
yeah.
even back then, that's what this was kind of doing. The guy ultimately, you know, went mad, and he sees this thing chasing him around, and that was done great the way they did that with the machine. They talk in the book, the Twilight Zone book, about how they put that machine together and how they wanted the voice to be electronic, and they got a certain guy that could do the voice
Hmm.
when it was calling him Franklin
Yeah.
and stuff like that, chasing him around. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, this was a great, effective episode, and probably my favorite of the week. Um, the guy,
Oh definitely.
the old
Definitely.
dude, they got picked to do be him and his wife, and then they had all the Las Vegas thug guys and stuff, and yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. It was done well.
Yeah, I thought the guy, the main guy, did fantastic. Like he was literally getting the sweats when he was doing the gambling, and how he came off like that big asshole who was like, "What are you doing, woman? Like you're
Yeah,
throwing our money away." And then like he gets the fever for it, man. As the episode's called, I thought it was like absolutely. The guy did a phenomenal job. He just like he was spot on. I loved it, man. He really had that like
yeah.
great zaniness going like, and he was really like in
I
it,
mean, I don't
man.
know.
And
It would have to get pretty bad for me to throw myself out a fucking window. But of course,
right, right,
the
right.
machine was coming after him, and that's what he was seeing. So, and the
Yeah,
machine was there, and it was a very effective episode. Shot well, directed well. The music was really
yeah,
good. So I really enjoyed this one.
yeah, yeah. I
The
did too. I think
now
the
now the
cast
second
just
episode.
used that little.
Hmm. Now the second
No, I was
episode
just
was
gonna say, like you said, that box was great too. The little
right.
lottery machine.
Now, the second episode, The Last Flight, was written by Richard Matheson, wrote a lot of these Twilight Zones. They're always based around either his stories, short stories. This one wasn't, but once again, it involved airplanes, flights, and time travel. So we get basically a 1914 plane war guy uh, going through some sort of a time rift and winding up in 19 think he was 44, and basically coming down and finding that he's traveled through time. This one was a little slow, I thought. This was directed by William Clayton, starred Kenneth Hay.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, the ending was kind of good, but it took a long time to get there. Basically, where this guy was a coward, a guy who would always run out in a fight. And during the First World War, he basically didn't stick around when these guys got into dogfights. He'd get the hell out of there, and then all the pilots he were, going with got killed, and he would live, and that really made him guilty. And he did the same thing to this guy that he was traveling with until he went through the time thing, and then he comes down and he finds that the guy did live. He thought he had killed him, but the guy's there. The guy's coming to the base, and the guy goes, "Oh no, this guy saved my life, and this is what happened." Basically, this guy decides to go back and save him, to go back into the fight, and that's how this guy lived. Now, this is there was a big episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation called Yesterday's Enterprise, which must have saw this episode because it's the exact same story, except with one of the characters going back to fight the Klingons. After a ship comes through, kind of like a time travel portal. Very interesting story. Just I thought it was a little long, a little talky, but I enjoyed it. The guy who played the lieutenant was good. And this would be one of many time travel episodes that we see. So I thought it was an okay episode. Not the best, not the worst, just middle of the road. What did you think, Dylan? I think Dylan's frozen.
I agree, man. It was really slow. I honestly fell asleep through it for the first time, and I had to rewatch it. It was definitely a bit slower, and had a little bit of pacing issues, even for a 25-minute episode. I had a feeling that this one kind of would have you were gonna say that this was kind of maybe inspired by a Star Trek episode.
Well, no, I think
Just
that
kind of the
Star
way
Trek
that it went.
that Star Trek
I
episode was
had
kind
a
of inspired
feeling.
by this. This episode, I think, inspired the Twilight Zone, the Star Trek
That's what,
episode,
yeah,
actually.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've seen similar stories
I had a
like
feeling
this.
that you might say that because when I was watching it, I was like, this kind of feels like a Star Trek episode in a way.
Yeah, I
But
mean, it was
yeah, this
definitely
one
more
I don't got much to say.
friendly.
Honestly,
Yeah.
it just wasn't the greatest. It was very slow. I mean, it had a cool little twist at the end but I had a feeling that this guy was gonna be something like he was from out of time or something, and just how he was like a British American soldier type thing. You know, it was okay though.
It was
Not
kind
my
of interesting
favorite.
how they did believe the guy, and then everything starts unraveling. You find out this guy is really from where he is, and it was
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Um, Now the next episode, the Purple
Hey,
Testament, is one of the
before we get
yeah,
into the next
what
episode though, I just
chat?
want to shout out the
Yeah,
chat
let's
real
go ahead.
quick. Just before you get on your roll, my brother. Hey, first in the chat, we got my little bro Evan Station, brother. Thanks for hanging, bro. First in the chat, that's my boy. We got GT Comic. What's up, man? How you doing? As always, we got Two Gun Pedro in the building. Station. We got Taki. What's up, my brother? Station. And let's see. So Two Gun, I've been so busy, only able to watch episodes 17 and 18. Yeah, I feel it, man. I feel like even though how short these episodes can be, sometimes it's hard to like get them in. I had to literally watch the last three uh in the last hour. That's why I was a little late for this show, honestly. But I just telling Scarphead behind the scenes, I was like, I got to try to watch one episode a day just to make it a little easier instead of having to binge like all three or three of them or four in a row, because then it feels like even longer. 25 minutes, and I still feel like for some reason, like every time I watch them, like I got like, I don't know, maybe I just kind of end up wanting to rewatch them again and kind of dive into them a little more. Maybe that's what it is.
Steph's here too, and Jack's Law. Hey,
Oh,
Jack.
it's not. There you Link, what's up, brother? Station. Oh shit, the new guy is back on the air. Jack's Law, what's up, bro? You know it, bro. Always here to scare. Definitely be here tomorrow, brother. 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Jack, we're gonna be reviewing Two Evil Eyes. If you weren't here last week to hear what we'll be reviewing tomorrow, yeah, Dario Argento's and George Romero's Two Evil Eyes, and whew, I'm excited for that. I was watching that last night. I'm gonna do another rewatch on that tonight,
I still got to
and
watch it. So.
do some. Dude, there's some fantastic behind the scenes, like with Tom Savini, George Romero, Dario Argento interviews, like behind the scenes special effects. And I got the soundtrack, so I'm gonna probably be bumping that soundtrack on the way to work or something tomorrow just to dive in because soundtrack is fantastic. So
Hmm.
I'm excited to dive into that one. And
Is
I
it?
know that's got to be one Robbie cannot run his mouth about and talk down on because it's Dario Argento and
Only half
Romero.
of it's Dario Argento, though. Only half.
But he does love Romero too. But I
Uh,
know he loves, I think, I'd say he's more of an Argento fan. They just announced an Argento movie, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. One of his dramas. Not. It wasn't a horror movie. I forget the name
Oh,
of it.
was
Two
it?
something. Yeah.
Greek fearing all the parents out there.
I know.
I
I just
don't
got
know
it. Well,
what
we'll show it tomorrow night when I get over here. But
did you watch Two Evil Eyes yet?
I have not. I'm going to be watching it probably tonight or tomorrow. Morning.
You got that 4K, don't you?
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. So it should be good.
You get it come with the slip.
Absolutely.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't gotten any of those 4K Blue Underground, so I kind of wonder because I got like New York Ripper on the Blu-ray, but the lenticular version. So those are like
It depends where you buy
I'm
them.
wondering like
If you get them from like Diabolic, you'll get a slip. If you get them from like Hamilton Books, you're not going to get a slip. So
No, Hamilton. Normally you do get the slip. I feel
do you?
like
Maybe
that's
if you
where I
buy.
got all my slips
Oh, really?
for.
Yeah, I think
Maybe
I.
not anymore. Maybe like
Yeah,
when we got them a couple years ago, because like I got New York Ripper, House by the Cemetery, all those came with the slip.
yeah,
So
cool.
there's a couple I want to get Maniac on 4K, and then I
Yeah,
want to
about
get
Maniac in 4K. Yeah. Yeah, are we doing
Maniac
Maniac?
and Zombie are like
Is
two that I
Maniac
really
coming up on
want.
your show? I thought I saw that. Are we doing Maniac on your show? We
Maniac,
already did it.
Maniac is coming up, but not for a while. I
Oh, okay.
plan to kick off Horror Fest with Maniac, honestly, because I've been
Yeah,
working on my list for Horror Fest. I got like almost the whole year planned out.
cool.
I'm leaving some spaces though for like if any new movies come out, but I want to kick off Horror Fest with Maniac.
Hmm.
So we will do that, but it's going to be a little bit.
All
But
right. Well, back
yeah,
to
so I said
Twilight
like
Zone.
everyone.
All right. So the third
Back to
episode,
episode 19, brother.
yeah, called "The Purple Testament," written by Rod Serling, directed by Richard Albert, who actually went on to direct all 168 episodes of Green Acres, believe it or not, and
What is
starred
it?
Green Acres. You never see Green Acres. It's a
Green
spinoff of
Acres.
like the Beverly Hillbillies and stuff like that. Yeah, watch Green Acres is one of my favorite TV shows of all times. It's stupid, but it's funny. Anyways, Captain Riker. No, not that Captain Riker, but Captain Riker was a character in the Purple Testament played by Dick York, who played in Bewitched as Samantha's husband, Darren. And Lieutenant Fitzgerald was William Reynolds. And this is another Angel of Death kind of episode. We've had a lot of these death episodes for the first
This
15
one started
shows.
off really cool, man. The cinematography and everything, like in the war, and like all the fog and all
And
like
this is really the
kind of the
first war
underground. Like
episode. Yeah, this is the first war one they've done, and basically
I wish
we
it
get
was more in line, like how it starts, like the whole thing, because it starts off like insane, man.
Yeah,
Like it
basically
looks so
this
good, but
guy Fitzgerald has the ability of seeing in the troops' faces which guy is going to die, basically by seeing a light in the face of the guy who's about to die. So he knows ahead of time, who's going to die. And it's, back then, of course, the war was only about 10, 15 years in the past. So a lot of these people watching this probably served in the war and can appreciate it more than we can now. But it's it's big when you're in a war like that, and it's going on, it's bad enough that you're watching all your friends, get killed, but to have to know ahead of time, who's going to die is got to be something that's really even, worse than that.
Yeah.
So I thought that whole setup of the episode was pretty good, and the way they handled the war and the fighting and everything was good. It was an interesting story. You're right. I think it dragged a little bit toward the end,
Yeah.
where it didn't have as much of a punch as the beginning did. But overall, I think they did this episode pretty well. Most of it was all on set, so they weren't really outside. It was probably a set one of the other TV shows and movies that they've done numerous war shows.
Yeah.
But it was done pretty well. The characters are good. I liked Dick York's character, his superior Captain Riker, and I thought it was a decent story. What your opinion?
I thought it was decent. I really liked the opening. I thought the opening was great. It wasn't anything too special though. Like you said, like we were saying, it kind of dragged, honestly. I thought if they kind of got more into like the war aspect and, like that opening was just so gorgeous, man. The cinematography, like when they're actually in the war, I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was great, man.
In the trenches, they were
But
in the trenches and stuff like that. It
they
was
end
kind
up
of cool.
they end up cheaping out and having him spend like a lot of time in the hospital and stuff. So I uh, I thought it could have been better, honestly. I
Yeah,
thought it could have been a lot better. Yeah,
yeah. But
I thought
the
they
whole
could have.
conceit of the episode. How do you send these guys out on missions and stuff where you can already see before they even go, who's gonna live and who's gonna die. So
Yeah,
it was an interesting episode. I figured, did it really have a twist at the end? There was no real twist at the end of the episode either.
no, no, I don't remember one at least.
So
But yeah, that could have been a lot better. I think that had some potential, especially with the opening. But I think because of money, they had to end up like we're gonna do this cool opening, but then it's gonna end up being like the cheap hospital the rest of the show. So I thought they could have done a lot better, especially this deep into the. I know it was only season one, but I feel like they're halfway through. Like maybe they had a little bit more money. I mean, if they made that set, they could have done something more with it than just that
yeah,
opening.
yeah. Well, I think they did. They already had probably spending the money on location for some of the episodes they had early
Probably,
in the
yeah.
season. So
I just feel like a little bit of a missed opportunity with this episode.
yeah. Well, back then, I mean, all these shows were shot in lots, and this was CBS.
Yeah,
And I've read some of the books on the making of Star Trek, and Star Trek was shot on the same lot in the same building as Bonanza and High Chaparral. All these are the Western shows. So when you see the crew of the Enterprise beaming down to like a barn and to the thing, they're on the fucking Bonanza set. They just go next door and shoot where they need to shoot. So there's a lot
yeah,
of that
right.
going back and forth. In fact, they had if you watch the Star Trek bloopers, there's a few episodes where some of the cast from the other shows. There's one scene where an Indian breaks in. They were shooting an Indian scene on one of the shows. An Indian breaks in and carries Captain Kirk off the set, and everybody's fucking laughing and stuff like that. Because
Really?
that's how close they were shooting on top of each other back
Oh my
then.
god.
All the things were all set in these little buildings, really. But
Yeah.
the last episode, Elegy, is written by Charles Beaumont, who's the producer of the show, directed by Douglas Hayes. We have another science fiction episode, another
Yeah.
spaceship landing on an asteroid episode. We've seen a lot of those.
Yep.
This one was interesting, but I think just the story doesn't hold up as much. Basically, these crew of astronauts land on a planet. When they get there, they find uh, a scene like Earth. Earth in say the 1950s. Everybody's there, but they're frozen in time. So they're all just frozen, like just mowing lawns and playing in a band and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All,
Frozen
all
in time.
right. Uh, and they meet this guy who is the caretaker of this asteroid. Was it Wickwire was his name, and he ends up being a robot. And he's the caretaker of this asteroid because this asteroid is one gigantic cemetery.
Yeah.
And the people that go there get interred there, but they're there not buried, but they're set up and frozen, preserved that way in the ways they would wish their life to be. So instead of being, and it's an interesting idea, but it's kind of so preposterous that it kind of just like, I don't know, I just kind of like I just don't buy it.
Right.
And and then of course the three astronauts find this out. They end up getting poisoned by this guy. I mean, this whole episode is pretty whimsical, pretty almost
Yeah.
comedic. But then it gets really dark when the robot basically poisons and murders these guys, and and their wish was they want to go home. So he sticks them on their spaceship, and now that's their permanent resting place exhibit. That's pretty fucking dark, man.
Yeah.
And the problem I have with this episode is the problem I have with a lot of the episodes that are like this, where you have to have real actors. They talk about this in the book. Real actors standing there trying to be frozen and not moving. Because you
Yeah.
can always see them moving a little bit. You can always
Right.
see the eyes moving. So what they did in this, and they say in the book, is they basically, you'll notice every time they show somebody, they're panning the camera fast, left and right,
Yeah.
in hopes
Yep.
that you won't catch people moving a little bit. And
Yeah.
that just takes me out of it all the time when they do this. Now they have an episode coming up that's a real classic episode coming up in the next couple batches that take place in a department store that has a similar vibe, but there it worked. And here it didn't
Yeah.
quite work. So I give him points being kind of creative, and it's an interesting story.
Yeah.
But I didn't really buy the story so much. And the tone is really kind of, it's comedic when it maybe should be a little darker, especially
Yeah.
considering the guy murdered these people. I'm
Right.
imagining that these other people, you would think these other people are there voluntarily. That's where they want to be, but are they? Did he basically
Yeah.
just, they visited this asteroid and he killed them? So I
Yeah.
mean, it's a dark premise with a very kind of comedic bent.
Yeah.
So I kind of like the
Dark premise
episode.
with the comedic outcome instead of being darker, you know?
Yeah, I kind of like the episode, but I'm not big on it just because of that. What
Yeah.
did you think?
Yeah, I thought the premise was cool. You know, like you said, it was a cool idea, just like another missed opportunity. Instead of them going like full dark with it, maybe with some light comedic, they go like full comedic with it. So that was kind of a bit of a bummer. But, you know, the actors were good. You know, like you said, it kind of was a little off putting when they're just fast panning up across all these people. Um, I thought it was a decent episode though, but I thought it was another missed opportunity. It could have been a lot better than what they set out to be. I think they were a little too nervous to go too dark with it, and they ended up going too light and way too comedic with it when it could have been a lot cooler. It was, I mean, a very cool idea, but like you said, it didn't work. Like it probably works in that other episode. I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but I'm sure when we get to it, I'll know.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah, bit of a missed opportunity. I thought it could have been better. Yeah.
yeah. So ratings wise, we'll go back up to the top. I'm going to say, Fever, definitely the gold. The addiction episode with the gambling is my favorite of the batch tonight.
Definitely.
Definitely everything from the atmosphere to the acting to the cinematography, the way they photographed that jackpot machine coming after them.
Yeah.
The whole thing, written by Rod Serling. It was actually the only episode tonight we had that was written by Rod Serling out of this batch.
Okay.
And I just enjoyed it the most. So I'm gonna give 4.5 stars to Fever. I think it's top level Twilight Zone. The Last Flight I thought was a little lukewarm. It was a time travel episode, but I wasn't really overly too interested in it. I'm gonna give that a 3. The Purple Testament I think was a good premise that started off a little bit stronger than it ended, but I certainly liked the effort with the war and the whole death angle.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give that a 3.5 for the Purple Testament. And Elegy, while I like the conceit of it and really the way it was put together, I just thought it was kind of a missed opportunity. So I'm gonna give that a 3 as well. So overall, my favorite Fever that gets a 4.5 for me. That's upper tier
Yeah.
Twilight Zone. If you're gonna pull, if somebody's gonna put together, and they've done this in the past, the best of the Twilight Zone, this would be one of the ones that's on that best disc.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. Episode 17, The Fever, one of my favorites, and definitely the best of the week. I'd give that a 4.5. Episode 18, The Last Flight, um, definitely a lot weaker. I would only give that a 3. Actually, no, I give that, yeah, I give it a 3. Yeah. Yeah, I almost want to say a 2.5 because I didn't like the pacing, but I'll go 3. Purple Testament, I'll go 3.25 on that. I thought the opening was awesome, but then it just kind of flipped up, kind of went downhill after that, and just another missed opportunity. And then a leggy, I think I'd go a 3 on that one as well. Another missed opportunity, but I didn't enjoy it as much as the Purple Testament. I thought that was a little bit weaker and could have
Oh,
been cool premise, but could have been a lot better. And yeah,
yeah, and just a correction: the Purple Testament was also written by Rod Serling, so 2 out of the 4
oh, was it?
were written by
Okay,
Rod Serling.
okay,
But interesting that really those are probably the best two, and they're written by
right,
Rod Serling. So,
right, of course,
it's,
of
it's, uh,
course. So,
but
so next
overall, not a
week,
bad batch.
yeah, not a bad batch at all. I mean, you got a little bit of mixture in there for sure, but we get some war ones, we get some space ones, and then we get the gambling addiction one. Um, Next week we got episode 21, Mirror Image, and then we got episode 22, The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. That
That's
sounds like a
the
fun one.
that's
Uh,
a
Episode 23, A World of Difference, and to end it off next week, we have episode 24, Long Live Walter Jameson, which that looks like kind of maybe like a Western, maybe, or something about a history teacher.
yeah.
So,
So
yeah, it looks
yeah,
like another week of a good mixture of
yeah. The,
movies
the
or
monster, yeah,
shows.
and the monsters duo Maple Street is top 10. That's a top 10
Is it
Twilight Zone
sick?
episode.
Yeah.
That's up there. And
Yeah,
that's
I
up there
never
with
remember
the
the
big ones.
names
Yeah.
of the episodes, so I'm excited. That
So that
sounds like a
so
good
that's
one,
a good
though.
one, and I think that's one they actually remade for the '80s too. They remade that one because it is a big one.
Really
So
sweet.
that's up there.
Yeah,
That's up
I'm
there.
excited for that
That's a
one.
top 10. So yeah, very good.
It looks
Next
like
week should
two
be another good batch.
Two Gun gave episode 17 the fever 3.75 and episode 18 2.75. What up,
Yep.
Bobby D? Brother Joe made it. What were you gonna say though, Scarphead?
Yeah, definitely another good batch coming up next week as we get into the
Yeah,
second
looks
half
like maybe
of
next week we'll
season
get
one.
a little bit better. Maybe next week will be a little bit better of a batch, and we'll get more than one really good episode. Because I feel like this week we just had one real banger, and the rest were just decent. But still fun. I always enjoy checking these out. They're always a fun time. No matter what, they're just good blasts from the past. Good
Mhm.
always I always watched these when I was younger, so it's always fun checking these out. They're always a little fun.
Absolutely.
Some are zanier than others.
Yeah, definitely one show I definitely like revisiting quite a bit from time to time.
Yeah, it's one that goes down in the history books. It's one I can always revisit, just throw on an episode here and there when you're just like bored and wanting to throw something in the background. I just the music, the cinematography, Rod Serling's incredible voice for the intro. It's just it's a win every time.
Absolutely. So what do we got coming up? We got Two Evil Eyes tomorrow night.
Yes, sir. Dario Argento and George Romero's Two Evil Eyes. It was a funny thing. It was going to be they wanted they were trying to get like a bunch of ensemble, like an ensemble of horror directors to do a like anthology movie, kind of like a Masters of Horror type thing with John Carpenter and all. But it was impossible to get like all the Masters of Horror, like or the ones that they wanted to come together to do a movie. So in the end, George was like, and Dario were like, let's just do our own movie and we'll do two like halves. We'll do like half a movie and you do half. And I think it's a cool instead of, that would have been awesome to get like George, Dario, John, and all these and a couple other guys to do like an anthology. But I always have enjoyed this movie. You got Adrian Barbeau and Harvey Keitel, so check us out tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be a hell of a time, man. I think you're going to have a lot of fun. I highly recommend checking out Two Evil Eyes. Such a fun one.
All right, then on Monday night, we have 2013's Oblivion with Tom Cruise, Morgan Freeman, sci-fi movie. And
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen. I haven't seen that since it first came out. So
yeah, neither have I.
I don't remember it.
I'm looking forward to checking out in 4K, and I think I sent you the 4K, so you should be able to check that out.
Yep.
Should be a fun thing. And then
Yes,
I think is Robbie on tonight, or I don't think he is on tonight, is he?
I don't believe even tell you.
I don't think so. And then and then after that we have some more interesting stuff coming up. So it's almost March. March is almost here. We got a whole new batch of movies. I'll be
we got one more show, and then March Madness, which we'll do. To come check us out tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Dylan's Horror Show.
Yeah,
and we'll be revealing March Madness, the whole March Madness panel.
Yeah, and then
which will
Monday
be,
night,
four really fun, which we've already revealed. But if you weren't able to check out last week's show,
yeah, and then Monday night we'll be revealing what's coming on my show on Monday night's show. We'll be revealing what's in March for me as well. We got some really good ones I picked out. I hope some decent mix of interesting things. So give it a little hint. The first 3 movies in March will be a sci-fi vacation nightmare. So that's the theme. So think about that, and we'll reveal them on Monday night. So great, guys. Hope you enjoyed tonight's Twilight Zones. Great being here with you, Dylan. Good. That's good. Yep. And then make sure you watch Oblivion on for Monday. Oh, yeah. Oh, a Swamp Thing. She has a good, interesting scene in Swamp Thing, too. So check that out.
You hear me all right?
I hear you. Okay, so...
all right.
All right, cool.
Well,
so we'll see you guys on Saturday.
Yeah, it looks like Robbie's taking this Sunday, Monday off, and Two Guns already watched Clown, which is what we're... Nice. Hell yeah, Two Gun. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Two Guns.
Yeah, so come check us out. Come check us out tomorrow night. Find out what we're kicking Horror Fest. Come find out what we're kicking March Madness off with the horror show, and I think you're gonna enjoy it. We got a lot of cool ones that are coming out, so definitely not gonna want to miss it. And then come check us out Monday night, 7:45 p.m. Eastern on Scarpad's Domain to review of Tom Cruise's Oblivion, and then Robbie should be
we lost Dylan, but yeah, Robbie's taking Sunday and Monday off, so I don't think he's going to be doing it this Sunday and Monday. So thanks, guys, for coming out. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you Saturday night and hopefully on Monday. Until then, later. And when Dylan comes back from his Oblivion there, he'll end the show. Thanks, Bobby. Thanks, Brother Joe. I've never seen Clown, so that's gonna be an interesting thing. I'm this year with Terrifier. I'm pretty happy to be watching all these clown movies. I watch Clown House and Terrifier and stuff. So
fucking kicked me off. Always gotta be something on this damn Wi-Fi, dude. I gotta call fucking my Wi-Fi company. I swear I'm sick of this. But I will see you guys all tomorrow. Remember, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of the night. Have a great weekend. Peace out.
closing?